Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. First of all, no offense to the Jewish community, what have you. But this video is about the wordplay around my name. Okay, my name is Chukwuemeka, which means God has done something great, or praise God, what have you. Chukwu is an Igbo word meaning God. And it's a play on words for sea, hawk, way, which goes back to the Royal African Falcon or hawk martial art order. It goes back to Job, where the hawk spreads its wings by the wisdom of God. So this early model of an artificial intelligence robot was named Amika, after me. When I was young, I used to say my name was Amika or Emika. I'd almost never say Emeka because it's kind of hard to say, and I consider Amika or Emika a more Americanized version. But never in my life did I put betas above a morally precise, graceful, mature, and righteous alpha, who at its pinnacle is a mulatto Royal African Falcon top martial arts. How do I know this? Because it's me. I'm not a racial supremacist. I'm biracial. I'm a moral supremacist, meaning I judge you by the content of your character, as Martin Luther King says. I'm from the royal family of Dr. Martin Luther King's tribe. There's several royal families. One is more associated with Neri, one is more associated with Eri. Eri being the Skywalker, son of God, where you get the word Haro Aries, or Haro Eri, which is a name for Horus. You have Harware, which is another name for Horus, Harware. You have Haro Isis, Horus, son of Osiris and Isis. You have, the common Horus. You have Hor, Har, Hair, okay, Haru. These are all different words for Horus. Okay, the Haro Eri is Horus, whose right eye is the sun, whose left eye is the moon. He's also associated with Harware, meaning Horus, the great one. You have Harpocrates, okay, etc. You have other versions, right? Khan Hor, or Khonsu was a moon god mixed with Horus, and that's a Khan art, right? As the different cults started to betray the Royal African Falcon martial art order, they started to amalgamate different deities, and they, has to do with power and money and sex cults in Egypt and so on and so forth. But the original idea that united the land, as far as anyone knows, connects to this Igbo idea. That's why it's called Haro Eri, and it's the Horus, the Skywalker, son of God, who's righteous, who's the top martial artist, who's not just some kind of Egyptian rich kid or something with some kind of makeup on his face, but who's somebody who's righteous, who's heartfelt, who doesn't want to make anything up, right? That's why it's called makeup, right? To make things up, to make up for them not having the grace of God in their face. And the makeup on the male face is associated with homosexuality these days, what have you. And we have no reason to believe that the early Falcon martial artists wore makeup. No offense to anybody, just telling it how it is. The truth will set you free. The word hurt is scrambled in the word truth. Right? You have the T for the feminine suffix in hurt, as the word play in the word truth. Okay, and of course it goes back to the game, which the first part of the word is the word gay, and obviously I'm not gay, and the second part is me. So now, and of course the word game is mage scrambled. This is more significant than you think it is, right? A math wizard, right? Wizard, you get the word witten, meaning to know, okay, as the root term for wisdom, and probably wizard as well. And of course in wizard you have the word, you have draw, whiz. Okay, so they're drawing on the idea of a nerd, right? The nerd, when we look at the word dragon, right, the wordplay there is G, Jew, gay, guy, nerd, and draw, gone. And there's other stuff as well having to do with draining power, right? The rite of passage, the sage sap passage, with the wordplay there. Maybe you get lost about it. If you have any questions, put in the comments. There's so many words out there that prove my point. And there are key evidence, right? You see the existing pattern, right? What language is it? English. Where does English come from? It comes from Rome. It's a Latin-rooted language like Spanish and French. And there's lots of things like Jesus means Jesus in Spanish. And you see them saying that in Mexico, where you see all these drug cartels with these satanic themes and so on and so forth. And part of the Stockton incident, part of that is when you go through the videos, as much as I have, you come across videos where they say that some of these gang members are self-professed Satanists. And of course, I'm sure you people know about that to a large degree. Okay, I don't know about it firsthand because I've never been in a satanic cult or a satanic group or a secret society or a social club or fraternity in my life. You know, and on top of that, I live in unincorporated Morgan Hill. We moved out here in 1990, and I've lived on my own in the south part of San Jose. The first place I lived with my family was um, not far from Oak Ridge Mall in San Jose, ironically. And when I moved out of the house, I lived for a while in the Ohlone Chenoweth apartments on Pearl, right by Oak Ridge Mall in the southern part of San Jose. You know, and a lot of gang members lived in that area, in the apartments. Some people from 7th Street, some Northerners, what have you. Okay, so what does this Amica thing have to do with it? Well, it goes back to the 1900 block of Lucille, where this shooting took place at the banquet hall at the birthday party, okay? And the word Lucille is like the word Lucifer, artificial intelligence, right? Apollo, who's a deity of light and knowledge in the Greco-Roman system, right? It connects to Apollyon, the destroyer in Revelation. And that has to do with the locusts, the spirits of evil, the spiritual army that's released from the pit where the angel of the abyss leading them, Apollyon, also called Abaddon, which connects to, you got to realize that in the Greek system, Apollo is the Greek equivalent of Horus, but Horus is good and Apollo, especially in the Bible, is evil, just like all the Greco-Roman deities, right? They're based on Pan, who's the devil and the tarot card, and Pan names all for all the Greco-Roman deities, like pansexual, pandemic, and it connects to panties, right? They want their demon deities being the ones who have sex with women, right? For example, the word famished is a play on words for fam, I shed, right? Famished, family, I shed. They want you to see things their way. The word AIDS is a play on words for said. What did you say? How do you see things, right? Eri is a play on words for ear, eye. And the Eri in the Greco-Roman system, you know, Eris, is a deity of chaos and discord. In the Egyptian system, in the African system, Eri, okay, refers to Haroeri, which connects to the West African Igbo system, and is the Skywalker. The idea of the Son of God has to do with order, justice, righteousness. True love is expressed through justice, romantic justice, right? The son of, you know, in the Osirian myths, he's the son of Isis and Osiris in the Osirian myths, but those things came later. He's the son of love. Before that, it goes without saying that the top martial artist has moral, mental, spiritual, and romantic prowess. Again, so this is key here when it comes to hacking the brain, right? Artificial intelligence, assisting with remote brain hacking, where we see Neuralink and Elon Musk and all these companies that invest in tons of money in brain hacking. And a lot of companies have invested a lot of money in trying to find ways to secure their information, right? Information security in this information age, in this kind of hacker age, to prevent people from hacking their employees' brains and finding out their information and, you know, holding it, you know, for ransom, like these guys who do ransomware do. This story for another day. To make a long story short, okay, they are hacking my brain, but they haven't gone that far. For example, 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 4. How is my brain able to compute these things? I'm still able to do logic. Okay, they're interfering with my brain about as much as maybe one hit of marijuana or one beer would throw you off, mixed with the ability to cause me to stumble on my words, the ability to cause me to lose my train of thought like I almost did right now, right? They can kind of provoke me to anger. There's little things that they can do, and they've applied that. They're playing it like a game. Again, the word game is a play on words for mage. These people see themselves as wizards and witches and mages and sages, and they're manipulating things, right? Think of Aleister Crowley, right? He saw himself as a wizard of sorts, as an Egyptian wizard of sorts. Madame Blavatsky saw herself as a witch of sorts. Very famous people in the occult. You have H.P. Lovecraft. He saw himself as controlling, helping to control dating by writing these horror stories that affected various groups, emos, goths, rockers, metalheads, okay, occultists. Various groups would read his story, right? And you know, rich English people, whoever else. Okay, reminds me of Edgar Allan Poe to some degree. These occultists who write stories, the people who wrote, who's this guy? Peter Pan. Again, it goes back to Pan, and Peter go back to the rock on which the church is built on. But when you don't obey God, you obey the devil, and Peter denied Christ 3 times. This is a story for another day. And the 3 goes back to the 3 days, right? And on the 3rd day, he will rise again. There's all kinds of hidden meaning and hidden connections. Numbers is even a book in the Bible. Write that down. Numbers is a book in the Bible. And the gospel is called the go spell, right? Who's going, who, what, when, where, how, why. To ward and to cause things to go versus to draw and to cause things to come. And you see that in Revelation, where it has everything to do with reproduction. Reveal, alpha, shun. Revelers, alpha, shun. Revelation. Okay? And, oh man, I went way over time here, so let me just wrap this up here. I'm going to run out of memory on my phone. So to make a long story short, they say come in Revelation with the four horsemen, right? First, it's Christ on a white horse, representing the spirit of righteousness, right? The soul of Christ and the spirit of Christ on the spirit of righteousness coming into the world, which is me gathering righteousness, right? Focus, moral intensity. People are supposed to be gathered in the clouds. Clouds can be white. They can be dark for rain clouds. The second horse is a rider with a large sword. It's a red horse, okay? Has to do with the war. So the elite are waging war against people based on how they respond to me, right? I'm faithful and true, and I'm bent on conquest. I'm determined to be the top martial artist ever possible. I am that already. I've proven that, but my spirit keeps insisting that people recognize it and obey. And as they don't, here comes the war. And then the third horse is a black horse, and the person has scales. And they measure people and say, well, are you obeying God through him? And then the fourth horse is a result of them not, because narrow is the way to life and few find it, broad is the way to destruction. Matthew 7, I believe it is. So the fourth horse is the one most people remember, right? Behold a pale horse, and on it sat death, and hell followed with it, right? Pale is sickly. It goes back to Numbers 10, when Miriam and Aaron were punished for rejecting Moses having chosen a Cushite wife, as God has now chosen the offspring of Cush. Ham begot Cush, Cush begot Nimrod. Ham begot Cush, okay, these black African martial artists and the black people like them, and from them came me, eventually, right? And so, as society rejects me partially because I'm black, culturally, racially, philosophically, spiritually, what have you, okay, financially to some degree, a story for another day, here comes all hell. Just like Moses and Miriam were made leprous and pale and sickly because they protested against, did I say Moses? I mean, Miriam and Aaron became leprous and sickly because they protested against Moses' wife. Okay? So it is with society being made sick, right? They're made sick in the head. Their brains are hacked. There's fumes and poisons in the air and the food. Okay, pharmakeia means poisoning, right? All these pharmaceuticals, blues, and these street drugs, and fentanyl, these pharmaceutical concoctions. Okay, so I'm like way over time here, way over time. Real briefly, Kemet is another name for Egypt, where we get the word alchemy, where we get the word chemistry. And, oh man, I lost my train of thought here. I'm going to have to make a next part after this. But I'm sure by now you see that I'm right and people aren't saying these things. And if they say these things, they're privately and they're trying to take control of you instead of publicly saying, I should be in charge, putting a lamp on his stand, walking in the light. He said in John, I believe it's John 3, that the one who's righteous comes into the light so everyone can see and that God can see, so to speak, that what he's done has been done in the light for all to see. Those who are wicked deal in the darkness. And we see that in Proverbs 4, where they don't know what makes them stumble.